Today, AOC had her first Twitch stream and broke 435,000 viewers, but she's not CheckPoint. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. It's a beautiful day in the studio, and we've got so many questions to ask you.
Indeed. I read the stories earlier, and I counted at least 16 question marks.
Granted, most of the questions are rhetorical.
That sure won't stop some of you from answering them in the comments, will it?
Was that rhetorical?
Was that?
GameStop has figured out a way to survive, and it's by the divine grace of Microsoft making a business deal they really didn't have to. According to Ars Technica, building from an offhand remark in a GameStop press release, GameStop has signed an agreement with Microsoft that earns them a percentage of every digital game sold on next-gen Xbox consoles sold by GameStop. As in, if you buy an Xbox Series X from GameStop, some percentage of every game, DLC, or subscription goes to GameStop. Obviously, this makes sense for GameStop as a company that manages to alienate its employees and customers equally, that they would welcome a deal that earns them essentially free money. But why does Microsoft need this deal? According to an investment advisor speaking to Ars Technica, GameStop sells a lot of consoles. And maybe Microsoft figures this will encourage GameStop to push the Xbox a little harder than maybe a competing console. Which they obviously would. GameStop will do anything to try and make money. Remember when they tried to get themselves categorized as an essential service during the pandemic so they wouldn't be obliged to stop endangering their staff? A different financial expert, speaking to Ars Technica, isn't actually sure why Microsoft wants this deal, and the analysts can't agree on whether this will cover pre-owned consoles as well, or whether the revenue sharing will extend to all purchases on the consoles, including stuff like movies or music. What they can agree on is that neither party is making a big deal about the agreement because the actual revenue share percentage is probably very, very small, which for the seemingly constantly troubled GameStop is actually a huge amount of money.
Popular Twitch streamer Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as I think the kids are calling her, held an impromptu Among Us summit on Tuesday night, attracting 435,000 viewers. Part of her stream also focused on promoting a Get Out the Vote campaign, which I really appreciate. And hey, AOC, you'll be pleased to hear that I already voted. That's right, last week my ballot for the British Columbia provincial election came in the mail, so I opened it up, filled it out, stuffed it into the 2 envelopes in the correct order, and then popped it back in the mail, postage paid. I hope everyone else in BC enjoyed the stream and also enjoyed the reminder to get out and vote. Advanced polling closed yesterday, Wednesday, but general voting will begin in British Columbia on Saturday, October 24th. And don't worry, if you're not registered, you can just show up to your polling place with 1 piece of photo ID or any 2 pieces of ID that show your name, as long as one of those pieces also shows your home mailing address. That could even be a utility bill or a residential lease. Okay, I'm having a lot of fun with this because, hey, elections are tense, and Canada just narrowly avoided triggering a federal election the other day. AOC was streaming alongside fellow House Representative Ilhan Omar to help encourage United States citizens to get registered, vote in advance, and generally just get ready to deal with all of this election stress coupled with pandemic stress. So go check out iwillvote.com to make your voting plan. And can I just say, good pick for the game, AOC. Among Us is perfect because not only does it illustrate how important it is for everyone to work collectively to take care of plants and keep the air clean, it also shows that some duplicitous motherfuckers will lie out their ass just to keep you from tossing them out the airlock.
Hey, so Google Stadia is still a thing, apparently, and they're getting their own retro gaming-based battle royale kind of game. In the vein of Tetris 99 and Super Mario 35, Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle pits 64 Pac-Mens against one another to be the ultimate Pac-liest of men. As the player, you've got to clear your stage the fastest while navigating challenges that are thrown at you based on other players' success. You will also be able to go into neighboring mazes to steal power-ups. As the viewer, you'll be able to use spectator mode to vote on what boons and banes get doled out. The game will be $20. Plus, of course, everything else you need to make Stadia function, which prices it neatly into the cool idea I won't ever play bin. Also, their decision to use ghosts as M's in the logo makes it look like Mega Tummel Battle, and I had to tell you so that it wasn't only bothering me.
If you'd rather not Stadia, though, you could always Luna instead. Amazon is launching their new cloud gaming service Luna, and it's a remarkably simple proposition. Luna looks to be dividing the gaming content into channels where each publisher could potentially have its own dedicated channel with its own dedicated content. Amazon's first channel, Luna Plus, costs $5.99 a month, and you get access to 50 games. That's pretty much all there is to it. And you know what? Fine. Every big company with cloud services has either jumped into this pool or is already tucking its legs into a cannonball, and frankly, this shouldn't be any surprise, nor should it be a surprise when any of these fail to attract people, nor should it be a surprise when eventually all the services striate to only host their own content and we all just end up pumping $300 a month to a bunch of different entertainment providers just so we can keep our save games and our watch lists around until we die and then pass them on in our wills to our grandkids who are too busy marching in the streets demanding sweeping societal change to even play any fucking video games in the first place. Amazon Luna is available now as a limited public beta. You probably won't get in, but don't let that stop you from buying the controller!
We hear a lot of talk online about the DMCA, or the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, but a lot of folks don't know exactly what that even is or how it's meant to be used. Least of all, Twitch TV, who upset more than a few of their partners this week by deleting swaths of clips and VODs without warning or recourse. Signed into U.S. law in 1998, in advance of the upcoming digital millennium in which we are currently just trying to survive, the DMCA was designed as a way to prevent copyright infringement and theft in an online world. It's not ideal, but it's what we have. When a copyright holder sees an unauthorized use of their work, like their music being played on a Twitch stream, they can submit a DMCA takedown notice, at which point the platform holder, in this case Twitch, is obliged by the law to disable or remove the offending media. Which they did in a big way, with many partners receiving an email that said their channel had been subject to one or more copyright takedowns and that Twitch had deleted the offending content. The problem is there's another step to a DMCA takedown, or at least there's supposed to be, because also part of that law, Section 512, subsection G, says that the platform user has the right to submit a counter notification, and if the initial takedown is found to be erroneous or fraudulent, then the platform provider has to put the content back up within 14 business days. And that's something Twitch hasn't allowed its partners a chance to do. Their email outright said, quote, "We recognize that by deleting this content, we are not giving you the option to file a counter notification." Continuing, "In consideration of this, we are issuing you a one-time warning to give you the chance to learn about copyright law." Well, gee, thanks. But maybe you need to learn about copyright law because being able to submit a counterclaim is part of that law. Now, what are the chances that a DMCA takedown claim is erroneous? Well, as someone who's been on YouTube for over a decade, pretty likely. There's an entire cottage industry of copyright trolls who claim content that isn't theirs so they can get the ad revenue on it. Not only did Twitch not allow streamers a chance to counterclaim, they didn't even tell them what the allegedly infringing content was or what their content was. They just said, "We've deleted some stuff." What is a streamer supposed to learn from this? Apparently, this mass deletion is not Twitch's intent going forward, and this was them clearing out a backlog that had built up while working on guidelines to properly handle DMCA takedown requests. And apparently their guidance is also, you should just delete all your clips. It's wild when YouTube is handling something better than you. I only counted 7 question marks.
Look, the intro is basically just a contrivance we use to transition from the opening sequence into the actual content of the episode. It doesn't really do any narrative heavy lifting.
Oh, really? I like to think of it as a tiny window into our characters' lives to give the audience something to hang their hat on.
You're doing a character?
Are you not?
Coming up, EVE Online had a massive alien invasion and it's now over. What happened, you asked? Well, it's quite the story. The aliens known as the Triglavians had taken over several star systems and launched the Phoenix Quadrant, which caused 27 of their systems to turn into abyssal space. But the wormholes... I should have written even more.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What about the wormholes?
I actually don't know. They just randomly appear, I guess. It's so you can get into the Pac-Man system, or Pac-Man area, which is what they're now calling all of the missing systems that used to be in normal space but are now in abyssal space. And there are gates that the Triglavians use that you can actually use to move into the system, but I'm guessing those will be heavily fortified. And there's only areas of space that you're able to get to that were like extremely popular, like hub systems that people used to use, but those are now part of abyssal space. So I'm guessing they're trying to funnel people in there. So the wormholes are meant to like take you to random places in the space in hopes that you don't get caught.
I love hearing about this game that I never want to play.
There's like another 30 paragraphs I didn't read.